said that after the Blueface show, she ends up going back to, I don't know if it was after party or if it was just everybody hanging out at their hotel rooms or whatever.
She was staying at the same room, so she got on the bus going back there.
Right. So she claimed that she was really, really, really drunk, and she's walking through the hotel and she sees
Blueface and Wack thought this tour was locked in, sealed up, security posted, money moving, cameras rolling, and everybody outside acting like this was about to be some legendary comeback run. But the second Munchie opened his mouth, the whole thing started looking less like a professional tour and more like a Zeus Network field trip that lost its waiver forms, common sense, and possibly the emergency contact list, because now the internet is hearing about alleged fights, messy after-party energy, smaller shows, security questions, and serious allegations floating around the tour like somebody dropped a lawsuit grenade in the middle of the tour bus. And the wild part is, Munchie was not even talking like a hater. He was talking like somebody watching a house catch fire while the people inside are still arguing over who gets O-cord. Wack is supposed to be the big general. Blueface is supposed to be the star attraction, and the tour is supposed to prove everybody wrong. But instead, people are asking why the whole setup feels like WWE backstage with no referees. 1 minute it is music, the next minute it is hotel rumors, security confusion, fan outrage, and everybody online playing detective. Like this is the Kardashian family court special. And now the real question is not just whether the tour is messy. The real question is whether Munchie just exposed the one thing Blueface and Wack did not want fans to notice. That behind all the loud talk, the whole operation might be way more fragile than they wanted it to look. The Blueface and Wack tour was supposed to look like a victory lap. The kind of loud comeback moment where everybody online either admits they doubted too, early, or quietly pretends they were supportive the whole time. But instead, the conversation around this tour started feeling less like the king is back and more like who exactly is running this circus. And why does every update sound like a liability meeting with bass boosted in the background? Because once Munchie started breaking down what he had been hearing, the whole image shifted from organized music business to chaotic group chat disaster with hotel rooms, after parties, security questions, and everybody suddenly looking around. Like they forgot where the adult supervision went at first. The situation sounded simple. Blueface is on tour. Wack is connected to the operation. The crew is moving from city to city. And fans are watching to see whether Blueface can still pull attention after all the drama. Jail headlines, baby mama chaos, and internet wars that have followed his name for years. But the transcript makes it clear that the panel was not just discussing normal tour gossip. They were talking about alleged fights, messy behind-the-scenes energy, and serious accusations connected to someone described as being around the tour in a security-type role. And that is where the whole tone changed. Because when a tour has one messy rumor, people call it drama, but when the conversation starts including multiple alleged incidents, smaller venues, not packed shows, security confusion, think people questioning whether the whole setup is even professional? No, it starts looking like the music version of a building inspection failing every single category. The internet loves chaos, yes. But even the internet knows the difference between funny, messy, and somebody better call a lawyer before the next city even loads on the GPS. Munchie came into the conversation with the kind of energy that makes people pause, because he was not just laughing from the sidelines like a random fan in the comments. He sounded like somebody who had been watching the setup closely and had real opinions about how sloppy the operation looked. The biggest issue he kept circling back to was the people around Wack, the security situation, and whether Blueface was moving with actual professionals or just people acting like security, because they got a tour pass and a little authority for the weekend. That detail is important because in celebrity touring, security is not supposed to be a vibe, a costume, or somebody's homie standing near the door looking serious for Instagram. Security is supposed to be trained, controlled, boring, alert, and allergic to drama. But according to the discussion, The people around the tour were being described like they were way too excited to be in the mix, just way too involved in the scene, and not giving the calm professional energy you expect when an artist is traveling. With crowds, women, alcohol, cameras, and constant public attention. Munchie basically made it sound like some of the people moving around the tour were treating the whole situation like a backstage fantasy instead of a job. And that is the exact kind of detail that makes viewers lean forward. It's because it turns the tour from a simple performance run into a full reality show disaster. You can almost picture the comment section cooking already. So wait, who was actually hired? Who was responsible? Why does this sound like Zeus backstage with hotel keys? The mess was no longer outside the tour. Sounded like the tour itself had become the mess. Then the conversation turned toward the shows themselves. And that part added another layer of embarrassment. Because one of the speakers pointed out that the tour seemed to be hitting smaller markets and smaller venues. Not the giant superstar route where every city looks like a movie premiere. They mentioned places with lower capacity rooms and said some shows were allegedly not packed or sold out. That is a brutal detail for a rapper whose name still carries viral weight. Because fame online does not always turn into bodies in the building, and that is where the story starts feeling uncomfortable. For Blueface, because he is not an unknown artist trying to build from scratch. He has had real hits, real viral moments, real mainstream attention, and enough chaos attached to his name to keep blogs fed for years. So when people hear that the tour may not be moving like a huge comeback, the internet immediately starts asking whether the fame is still powerful or whether the drama has become bigger than the music. That is a nasty question, but it is exactly the type of question fans love asking when they smell a fall-off. Munchie's angle was even sharper, because he basically suggested that Blueface may need to shift away from chasing the music moment the same way and lean more into streaming, reality content, and the entertainment lane that fits his current public image. And that sounds funny until you realize how savage it really is. That is not just career advice. That is somebody saying the music lane might not be giving what it used to give. And the chaos might now be the product fans are actually buying. That is a wild position for Blueface to be in, because on one side he still has name recognition, controversy, women fighting over him, fans watching his every move, and enough online drama to power 5 YouTube channels before breakfast. But on the other side, when the conversation around your tour becomes, are the shows packed? And is the security professional? And why are there allegations already? That is not comeback energy. That is damage control energy. Wearing sunglasses and pretending it is part of the rollout. The Wack 100 part makes everything even messier. Because Wack is not some quiet background manager nobody recognizes. Wack is a character, a brand, a controversy machine, and someone whose name automatically brings loud opinions with it. So, when the panel started questioning whether Blueface's relationship with Wack had run its course, that hit different. They were not just saying the tour had problems. They were suggesting the whole partnership might be part of the reason Blueface keeps catching smoke from every angle. And honestly, that is where the story gets that Netflix episode 1 feeling. Because it is not just one event. It is the manager, the artist, the alleged security issue, the smaller shows, the tour bus culture, the after-party energy, and the reputation problem all crashing into each other at the same time. It is like watching a Marvel team-up where every hero brought their own villain. Except nobody read the script and the budget went to hotel rooms, live streams, and unpaid stress. Every piece connects to another piece, and every answer creates a worse question. The panel also seemed to question how the tour could survive if these allegations kept happening in real time. That part is serious because a tour can survive a bad review, a half-empty room, or even a viral argument. But once allegations of misconduct enter the conversation, especially around someone connected to the crew, the stakes are completely different. Suddenly, it is not about whether Blueface still has hits. is about whether the people around him are creating risks that could damage the money, the brand, and whatever comeback story they were trying to sell. What makes the situation even more chaotic is that Blueface is reportedly also streaming while on tour, which sounds smart from a content perspective, but risky from a control perspective. Streaming turns every moment into possible content, every argument into a clip, every fan interaction into a reaction video, and every messy decision into evidence for the internet courtroom. So now you have a rapper trying to perform, travel, entertain, stream, manage attention, deal with women around the tour, and somehow avoid scandal. All while the people around him are being questioned publicly. And that is why Munchie's comments landed so hard. It's because they pulled the curtain back on something bigger than one messy night. He made it look like Blueface and Wack might be operating in a world where chaos is normal until the consequences get real. The same wild energy that makes clips go viral can also make a tour look unorganized, unsafe, and impossible to defend. Munchie basically made the tour feel like a messy experiment where Blueface is trying to squeeze music, streaming, controversy, fan access, and street credibility into one moving machine. And the problem with that is simple. Every machine needs structure or eventually something snaps. You cannot run a professional tour like a spontaneous house party with stage lights. You cannot treat security like a friend group assignment. You cannot invite chaos into every city and then act shocked when chaos brings luggage, checks in early, and refuses to leave. By this point, the internet was not just reacting. It was building a full storyline. Blueface thought he had a tour. Wack thought he had control. The crew thought they had motion. And Munchie made it sound like the whole thing was one wrong turn away from a headline nobody could spin. That is the part that makes this scandal so addictive, because it is not just one person crashing out. It is a whole system being questioned. From the artist to the manager to the people standing around acting important. And now the pressure is sitting right on Blueface's name, whether that is fair or not. Because when you are the star, your name becomes the roof over everybody's behavior. The show goes well, you get the applause. The tour looks reckless, you catch the smoke. If someone around the crew is accused of something serious, the public does not calmly separate every role and contract before reacting. They see Blueface's tour, Blueface's circle, Blueface's environment, and Blueface's reputation standing in the middle of the mess. So part 2 ends with the tour louder, messier, and harder to defend than before. Munchie did not just throw shade, he helped turn whispers into a full-blown public debate about whether Blueface and Wack are moving like professionals or gambling with chaos while pretending it is strategy. And the scariest part for them is that once the internet starts calling a tour messy, every new city becomes a test. Every backstage clip becomes evidence. And every silence starts sounding like someone is hiding the next explosion. By the time the dust started floating around this tour, the damage was already bigger than one messy conversation. Blueface was no longer just fighting the usual internet jokes, baby mama chaos, and people debating whether his music still had the same grip. Now the entire tour operation was being questioned from the ground up, and that is a way uglier problem. Because fans can forgive drama, blogs can milk drama, and artists can even profit from drama. But when the word liability starts creeping into the conversation, the party stops sounding like entertainment and starts sounding like paperwork, with flashing red lights, and that is where Wack's name starts carrying extra weight. Because when you position yourself as the person who can handle chaos, people expect you to actually handle it. Wack has always moved like the loud uncle of the industry, the one who talks big, makes calls, knows everybody, and acts like nothing can shake the table unless he allows it. But Munchie's breakdown made people wonder whether the table was already shaking behind the scenes, and whether all that tough management energy was hiding a much messier reality that nobody wanted to admit out loud. The emotional fallout is tricky because Blueface's brand has always fed off controversy. But this kind of controversy does not hit like funny gossip. This is not somebody throwing shade on live or Carlisa saying something wild enough to make the internet choke on its cereal. This is the kind of situation where people start asking who was protected, who was ignored, who had authority, and who was just standing around pretending everything was normal. That changes the temperature completely because the internet can clown a messy tour. But serious allegations make the laughter turn stiff real fast. And now the alliances start looking strange too, because loyalty sounds powerful until it starts looking expensive. Blueface and Wack may be locked in, but fans are wondering whether that loyalty is helping Blueface or keeping him stuck in the same storm over and over again. Some people think Wack is the only reason Blueface still has structure around him, while others think Wack's world brings too much extra noise. That divide is exactly what makes the story messy, because nobody can tell whether this partnership is a shield, a trap, or both at the same time. Meanwhile, Blueface is stuck in the worst possible celebrity position, visible enough for every mistake to become content, but controversial enough that nobody gives him the benefit of the doubt. Every clip gets slowed down, every tour stop gets judged, every person around him gets side-eyed, and every fan interaction starts looking like potential evidence for another internet trial. It is like the whole public decided to turn his tour into a live-action documentary, except instead of a polished Netflix narrator, the voiceover is coming from comment sections with profile pictures and zero mercy. The consequences could get bigger than embarrassment, because once a tour gets painted as unsafe or poorly managed, that reputation follows the artist city to city. Venues start paying attention, promoters start getting nervous, insurance people start sweating, and everybody behind the scenes begins asking whether the money is worth the risk. That is the part fans do not always see. The memes are loud, but the business conversations behind closed doors can be even louder. Because nobody wants their name attached to a traveling scandal that keeps collecting allegations like bonus tracks. And the craziest part is that Blueface might have been trying to do exactly what the internet demands from celebrities now. Stay visible, create content, stream, tours, bring people around, and keep the machine alive. But that same machine can turn around and eat you alive if the wrong people get too close and the boundaries are not clear. One second you are building a comeback narrative. The next second, people are debating whether the whole operation feels like Zeus backstage after midnight, where every room has drama and nobody knows who is actually in charge. That is why Munchie's comments hit like a warning shot, not just gossip. He made the situation feel like a preview of something larger, like the tour was not simply messy, but maybe built on habits that could keep creating bigger problems. The homies, the after parties, the loose structure, the streaming, the women around the bus, the questions about security, the smaller show chatter, and the Wack connection all started blending into one ugly picture. And once fans see that picture, it is almost impossible to convince them they imagined the mess. So now Blueface and Wack are facing a narrative that is hard to shake. They thought the tour was locked in, but Munchie made it look like the locks were made of plastic. The final twist is that this may not even be the worst part of the story, because if people on the panel are already hinting at more incidents, more behind-the-scenes chaos, and more details the public has not fully seen yet, then this tour might not be heading toward a clean ending at all. It might be heading toward. Go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money, because this story is not moving like a normal tour update anymore. This is moving like a traveling Zeus reunion special with tour dates, Kutsa keys, security confusion, and Munchie sitting in the corner like the messy narrator nobody asked for but everybody needed. And drop your comments below, cause I need to know where you stand before the next chapter gets even uglier. Do you think Munchie was just keeping it real? Or did he accidentally expose the part of the tour Blueface and Wack wanted hidden behind the loud talk? Because right now, the internet is not just watching the stage. They are watching the bus, the crew, the management, and every suspicious little detail moving behind the scenes. Also, subscribe to Secret Scoop, because if this tour keeps serving chaos like a buffet with no closing time, you already know we are going to be right here catching every messy plate before it hits the floor. Turn on notifications too, because the next update might not come politely. It might kick the door open, spill everybody's business, and leave the comment section looking like a crime scene with Wi-Fi, because Blueface thought the tour was controlled. Wack thought the operation was solid, and Munchie came through making. The whole thing looked like a group project where nobody read the instructions. So stay locked in, keep your popcorn close, and remember, when the drama gets loud, messy, suspicious, and way too entertaining to ignore, you already know where to find it right here on Secret Scoop. Secret Scoop.